From WBNE.
Howdy, Oaks, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs! I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Chill.
And today we're fighting crime.
Or maybe we're just vengeance.
So get revenge on the guy that had your father killed.
And visit your mortal enemy in prison.
Because today we're bringing you
the Batman.
Ethan, the Batman. Was directed by
the Batman. The definitive. This feels like you remember when Apple was like, hey, I know we've released free iPads now, but this one's called the iPad instead of iPad 4.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like. This is the iPad.
It's the Facebook.
Put the back in. It's cleaner.
Right, put the it's cleaner. It came out on March 4th, 2022, which is 5 days ago, so take anything we say with a grain of recency bias. $185 million budget, $301 million box office, which is a freak load for a movie that came out 5 days ago. 86% critic rating, 89% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 72 on Metacritic. Ethan, do you have a positive review from a professional critic?
You want me to read a positive review?
No, I want you to read a negative review, Ethan.
Okay. I was not prepared for that.
I bet you're just looking at the website.
Well, I'm not, actually. I was looking at the negative reviews.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Anthony Lane of The New Yorker says...
No way!
Anthony Lane of The New Yorker did not like the Batman. He says, dropsicle with self-importance and setting a bold new standard in joylessness.
Ooh. That's so surprising to me because I would have thought Anthony Lane was a cinematography guy.
I would have thought that Anthony Lane saw the Batman and went, yeah, the Batman! Yes!
The Batman!
Yes! The Batman! I've been waiting my whole life for this! Finally, the Batman!
I've got a review here from Noel D. Lilly from the Chicago Reader. Oh boy, how do people in Chicago talk? Robert Pattinson shuts all his haters up with a vulnerable and terrifying performance, and Matt Reeves is the Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman. That's, I think, because this is the
I
thing.
think it's a little bit more Minneapolis than it was Chicago.
No, that was pretty Chicago.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that was kind of Ditka.
Yeah, that was kind of Ditka. The
Yeah.
Batman.
The
The
Batman.
Batman. The Batman.
Da Batman.
Which is like, I think how Jim Gordon should have talked in the Dark Knight trilogy. Because
it's the Batman.
That was mostly shot in both Pittsburgh and Chicago and not New York. And Jim Gordon was still like, hey, it's me, Jim Gordon from the Batman.
Hey, look at me, I'm Jim
Look at me,
Gordon.
Jim Gordon. I'm a cop in New York City. And I think
We
he
got
really should have been
Narrow
like,
Island
listen
here
there,
next
bros.
to Gotham.
What you're gonna need to do is go down to the precinct and check out this Joker fella. He's got a lot going on right now, kind of being like an evil guy behind the scenes.
Yeah. No, that would have been great. Anyway, this is the Batman.
Hold on. I want to read the most absolute nonsensical review that I've ever heard for a movie. And this comes from our good old friend, Armand White of the National Review, notorious hater of literally everything, who says, coming exactly 100 years after F.W. Murnau's still disturbing Nosferatu, the Batman doesn't even earn being called artistic decadence. Its depiction of social horror isn't fully imagined, and it never gets to the core of spiritual repulsion.
No, I think he's got a point there.
Right, but like no film review in the year 2022 should start with, well, it doesn't hold up to Nosferatu.
Right. No, I'm with you there. And that, yeah, I think his first point is really dumb as well. He said it wasn't artistic decadence, and I was like, we weren't watching the same movie then. This was an absolutely gorgeous film. This was artistically
decadent. So
this was like indulgent, yeah, for movie people.
The cinematographer, they just said his name was like Grieg something, did like this and Dune and like most of the Mandalorian and Star Wars Rogue One, and I was like,
No
that
way.
guy is something else.
That guy's good.
Yeah.
That guy's real good.
So, Tyler, give me a 0 out of 100.
Oof, this is such a
On
tough question.
The Batman.
I think I know your answer,
Yeah?
which is I do. I think I know. I think I'm surprised by your answer, but I think I know your answer.
Okay.
This for me is I'm trying to think, right? When I think about it's tough not to compare to other Batman movies, and we'll get into a lot of that in the episode
definitely.
content.
We will have to talk about this film's place in the Batman.
But when I think about
experience.
I have to think about what would I give my top Batman movie, because that kind of colors this. Because think about that: if your top Batman movie is like an 85 to you overall, then that drops what you might be thinking for this, I think, considerably.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not for you, obviously,
But for
because
you.
this is your top Batman movie. But for me, 82.
Wow.
Ethan says this is a 100%er.
This is a 100%er.
I cannot believe you feel
It's
that
not
way.
actually, but I'm going to give it the 100%er specifically for a reason.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm not. I want like I'm giving it like an asterisk 100%, where like I think that any movie that does this thing that this movie does deserves a 100% rating until the problem is fixed. And that is, this movie really just takes a shot at this like QAnon dark web gun owner, moral majority militia type as being the true villains of American society.
I didn't know where you were going with that for a second. I thought
It takes real shots at them, and it's just like, you guys f***ing suck. And I want to make it 100% clear. I'm not trying to get political with this episode, and this is the last I'm going to talk about it. So in the year of our Lord 2018, my dad was shot 5 times in the back by one of these psychopaths who owned like 55 guns.
Uh-huh.
And I'm definitely not as militant as I used to be about it, but like, if you own a gun, I don't like you. There's no reason. I don't think you should be legally allowed to own a gun. And I think that you should take your gun and surrender it immediately, and that you should not own one. And people have a problem with that. I don't like that. I don't really like the military. That's fine. If that offends you, stop listening to my show. I really don't care. That's the last I'm going to say about it. But for that reason, as long as these people keep being a problem and movies that are unwilling to take shots at them, I think a movie that does it gracefully should be rewarded for that. But I am going to say this is a 98 on the Bacon and Eggs rating for me.
98. I want to ask you. I think I want to ask you the question we're all waiting for.
This is my favorite Batman movie ever.
Really?
Yeah. This takes over Batman Forever as my favorite Batman movie ever.
Do you think it's a better movie than The Dark Knight?
I think it is a completely different movie.
I do too. I think, yeah, you're looking at apples and oranges there.
I think it is the first time that the argument of The Dark Knight is not a Batman movie has been given weight.
So
Because now we've seen the other side, right? This is the Batman movie that has been, I was explaining this to our good friend of the show, Beth Riegels, yesterday. Of like what...
But she doesn't like the Dark Knight trilogy.
She doesn't like the Dark Knight trilogy, and I talked to her about it, and I truly think that, like, as much as we love the Dark Knight, it is definitely coated in some deep nostalgia because the MCU didn't exist, right?
Right. Iron Man came out that year.
If you're going in and expecting Spider-Man No Way Home out of the Dark Knight, like, because that's what you're used to superhero movies being, then yeah, I can see a world where you look at the Dark Knight and go, this isn't a superhero movie. This kind of makes me sad, and I don't really love Bruce that much. She had some other criticisms that I didn't agree with, but whatever. Like, but this is the Batman movie that people have been promising me since The Dark Knight Rises came out. Because that was when, in my sphere, everybody started being like, oh, wait a minute. Batman's supposed to be like a genius detective.
Yeah, and I thought they didn't do enough. Like, they did a lot to show that Christian Bale's Batman, or Christian Bale's Bruce, was very, very smart and had those detective skills, but it wasn't a detective movie.
No. No.
You know, it wasn't. I've been reading Midnight Riot by Ben Aronovich.
Yeah.
That is like a detective book.
This is a cop movie.
This is
not a superhero movie in any way. This is a cop movie.
It's faithful. It is a cop movie, but it's faithful to, I feel bad saying this, but it's faithful to like the heart of what Batman's supposed to, from my understanding, what Batman's supposed to be, which is a detective.
I mean, I want to make it 100% clear. I hate that I feel this way because people have been so annoying for the last 10 years about Batman's a detective. This is the Batman. And I really wanted to go in. There was definitely some part of me that wanted to be like, they did the thing. It wasn't that good. Everybody shut up. The only complaint I have about this movie is the score.
Oh, I like the score
Michael
a lot.
Giacchino should be fired and drawn and quartered.
Disagreed. I really like the score.
Because when I heard it, I was like, man, they really didn't lay out for the score in this one. Like they could have, I feel like, gotten a big name composer. And then I saw it was Michael Giacchino, and I was like, we deserved better from him. This is the guy that wrote Married Life. We deserved better from him.
And Lost.
But like he went. You know, John Williams wrote 2 notes for Jaws, and it was great. I'm going to write 2 notes for the Batman, except I'm going to steal them from Kurt Cobain, and then we're going to slap some Ave Maria in there.
I thought that was brilliant.
I did too,
Doing
but like
the Nirvana thing.
But the Nirvana thing was great. Like, but I cannot stress to you how much the first 15 minutes were just the same 2 notes on a loop. It was.
I tend to not notice stuff like that.
See, and that's the thing is like for me, I was not noticeable because like a decent score should get out of the way, right? A great score will elevate the movie. A decent score should not really be there, right? Like the early Avengers movies, the scoring was non-existent, really.
Right.
Like nobody until they invented the theme with all the French horns and stuff.
Right.
Like nobody cared, and those movies worked fine, right? You go watch the, even if you watch like The Winter Soldier, you're like, this is cool music. And then you've forgotten it the minute it's out of the way.
Right.
The fact that I was still thinking about how the score took me out of it in the first 20 minutes of the movie when it ended 3 hours later is my only negative for this movie.
So
I have no notes, no complaints. I couldn't find one. I loved this movie.
I have a few complaints. I also have some very strong pros, and they're not like plot holes.
Hold on, let me back up 2 seconds before you do that. Because I just want to make it clear, like, I don't think I'm better than anybody because I loved this movie. Like, there's already so much discourse on Twitter that just drives me crazy surrounding this, because you have your people that, like, are acting like now you can't like Marvel, and you have your people that are acting like you can't like this because it wasn't as good as the Snyder Cut, and you have your Marvel people acting like you can't like this because it wasn't No Way Home, and like, y'all just shut up. It can't hurt you. It can't hurt you. It's a movie, right? Like, the people that are like, oh, this is how movies are supposed to be, shut up. And the people are like, oh, this is stupid because it wasn't Mark. Also, shut up.
Do you get kind of an icky feel like when people say Zack Snyder's name? I'm sure he's a super nice dude and a really great guy, but when people say his name, I get this kind of like down my spine. Yeah. I feel the same way with Matt Reeves, and I don't know why. Because he did this, and there was some other big.
He's the Cloverfield guy.
Is he really the Cloverfield guy?
He's the Cloverfield guy.
No, there was something else. There was oh man.
Oh, he's done some stupid stuff. I believe. I can't remember exactly what, but
let me just take a look at his filmography here. I'm sure he's a super nice guy. I really don't know. Oh, he did the Planet of the Apes, which is, you don't like those movies, but I've seen the first one, which I loved. And
I mean, I would be willing to go back and at least rewatch the first one. And still one I've seen.
I love the story of the Planet of the Apes. I love the classic one a lot.
It didn't captivate me whenever it came out, but I also just wasn't really into that. That wasn't what I was looking for in movies back then.
Right.
Like, I think the MCU has probably done a lot of work in both directions for those movies for me. Because like, I think that I have grown more accustomed to just like, you know, sort of balls to the wall action movies, just like being like, all right. Because like, I don't think anybody's arguing that the Planet of the Apes movies that Matt Reeves made are like breaking any sort of ground whatsoever. Except for maybe like Andy Serkis being a monkey.
I think that was it. Was the motion capturing that was like
sure,
kind of like next level.
And I can respect that. I mean, Caesar always looks great.
Yeah,
when he's on camera. But here's what I've discovered through talking at work a lot about Pokemon. I don't think I like monkeys. I think I'm generally repulsed by the idea of monkeys.
That's weird.
Just like monkeys, apes, like chimps, not interested. Orangutans, not interested. Gorillas, not really interested. Chimps, definitely not.
You don't
I
like
think I said chimps
Tarzan either.
twice. I don't like Tarzan. I mean, I like Tarzan movies. I don't like Disney's Tarzan. But I'm not big on the Disney Renaissance in general.
Yeah, you had a sad childhood.
I did not have a sad childhood. I had a different childhood.
No, it's pathetic, really.
It definitely wasn't. But okay.
No, I'm joking.
But yeah, so let's talk about the Batman. What were your pros and cons? Let me lay it out for me.
Pros, this is unbelievably gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's undeniable. And
there are shots in this movie that like I would get tattooed across my back. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So good looking. I love the chemistry more than anything else. I think I do have some qualms with some of the acting, but the chemistry specifically between, and I feel so bad I can't think of his name, but the guy who plays Jim Gordon, Robert Pattinson, and Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright. Between those three, I think makes the movie worthwhile. Yeah. There are some performances I'm not crazy about, and that's most of the villains with the exception of Colin Farrell.
Really?
Yeah, let me pull up the actors because I don't want to.
Oh man, I mean Colin Farrell, like, because this is where we're gonna get into like, Batman Forever till this moment was my favorite Batman movie, and that's Jim Carrey as the Riddler, Val Kilmer as Batman.
Oh, I didn't realize that was Val Kilmer. Okay.
Yeah, that's Kilmer. That's 3. It's the first non-Tim Burton one.
Yeah. And it's supposed to all follow the same canon.
I like
right?
the Keaton ones.
I think Keaton, the more time that goes on, the more people that put the mask on after Christian Bale, the more Keaton becomes the best.
I truly, I think this is the definitive performance.
It's such a different take on it. Anyway, I want to talk about the villains real quick.
Okay, yeah, because I think I fully disagree with you here. I mean,
I think you probably do too.
Toss it out to because like I love Jim Carrey as the Riddler, right? This is the point I was gonna make. I love Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I'm not gonna be like, that performance is bad because this one is good. I hate Danny DeVito as the Penguin with every fiber of my being. Danny DeVito as the Penguin
is one of my favorite costuming and
I hate Danny DeVito.
I don't know how I feel about the performance. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I've seen images from that set and it just like, it's so good.
Colin Farrell probably was my favorite part of this movie.
Colin Farrell was fantastic. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, we should just Bacon and Colin,
Yeah.
Like, at least 6 months straight of exclusively Colin Farrell movies.
With the exception of Pattinson, because he's insane. I think Colin Farrell is definitely the most likely person from this movie to come on this TV, this podcast.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay, I think
if we hit up Colin Farrell's agent and we're just like, hey, we just want to talk to Colin about stuff, that he would somehow get a hold of it and just be like, yeah, okay, sounds great, let's do it. And then you got about if you DM Pattinson right now, you got about a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, I'm unbelievably nice.
Because Robert's insane, right? Like, dude's
Zoe Kravitz simply does not have time for me.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, she's about to start another huge press junket.
Yeah,
for Secrets of Dumbledore.
So I thought Robert Pattinson was above average. I'll give him that. I would say significantly above average. I'd say it exceeds expectations, but is still not. I'll get into my thoughts on Robert Pattinson. I think that's a longer conversation.
Yeah.
Zoe
Tell
Kravitz.
me about villains. Talk to me about Paul Dano.
Definitive Selena Kyle. Jeffrey Wright, amazing. James Gordon. Colin Farrell, fantastic. Paul Dano didn't do it for me.
Really?
Yeah, no, I hated the costuming. It felt cheap. I know that you appreciate that we're like villainizing these people, but it just felt cheap and weird and not in the way. It's very hard not to compare to Heath Ledger's Joker. But like when you think about like if Robert Pattinson is putting in a Christian Bale or above performance, then Paul Dano needs to. I mean, you have to be compared to Heath Ledger, and
I don't think you do actually, because there's a Joker introduced.
I think Barry Keoghan
gonna crush it.
That'll be a new definitive role. And then John Turturro didn't do it for me.
I absolutely loved him as Carmine Falcone. What I didn't love was Carmine Falcone.
Oh, I thought that was good. It was kind of...
It's Falcone.
He's
Italian.
But it was a little New York. He's a few generations down. Falcone.
Yeah. Because I didn't know he was in the movie, right? And
I didn't either.
When he first shows up and is talking to Zoe Kravitz, I was like, oh, man. That's
what a cameo.
What a great addition to this movie. Oh, I thought he was fantastic.
I felt like he was outclassed. I felt like, honestly, Paul Dano and John Turturro felt like, this is, I think, the best way I can describe it. They felt like really good TV actors.
Yeah.
And they were giving in TV performances on the set of...
I don't feel like that at all, man.
Of a movie.
I think Paul Dano nailed it.
No, he felt like the villain from like Disturbia to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I just think it requires such a smaller villain, right? Because like, it's not the Joker. It's not the definitive villain. It's like I don't think he has to be compared to the Joker, to Heath Ledger's Joker. He has to be compared to Ra's al Ghul. And he's way better than Ra's al Ghul.
Here's my heartbreaking piece about Ra's al Ghul. One, I don't know if I agree with that. Ra's al Ghul's amazing. Two, I would love to see Robert Pattinson's Bruce go through the assassin trials and everything, but I think his Batman just didn't do that. I think he was trained by Alfred.
I don't want that, right? Because like even for me, that was like when I watched Batman Begin finally, because I didn't see it before I watched The Dark Knight.
I think I had seen it, but I didn't know that they were
connected. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I saw that Batman Begins was in theaters, that I thought it was like a movie version of Batman Beyond, which was the TV show the animated TV show that was like sort of quasi extant at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think Ra's al Ghul was the whole origin story was weird, especially when you compare it to The Dark Knight and you get the Joker, who doesn't have superpowers beyond persuasion. And Ra's al Ghul's like a ghost ninja.
Yeah. He's a title. He's beyond human.
I don't know. I never dug that, man. The whole ninja thing was weird for me. And I get I get where it comes from, and I like that Batman. Like, I'm not about to turn around and be like, oh, the Dark Knight trilogy sucks. Like, I still love those movies. Unabashedly love those movies. I would watch The Dark Knight again right now gladly. And I don't think I'm going to like it any less. But they are completely different movies.
Yeah, this doesn't even approach the scale of The Dark Knight.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It almost felt a little weird to me, and they played it off really well, but it felt really weird to me when they were like, yeah, we broke the levees. I was like, this just escalated a lot from where we were.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really dug that, though, because, like...
No, I didn't think it was bad.
That's the danger, right? Like, that's the danger behind this type of person.
Right, is that they're gonna, it's gonna be small, which the stuff he did wasn't small.
This is the thing that I like. They built the villains in this movie around the Batman, as opposed to in the Dark Knight trilogy, they built the Batman around the villains.
So you think... I'm confused. Expand on that.
So, like, for the first time, we get cold, calculating, logical Bruce, because that's how you beat the Riddler, right? Like,
oh, I thought that was what was so great about this Bruce, was that he was not cold. He was super emotional.
Well, not unemotional, but like not cold calculating being like the phrase of like using logic to defeat the villain until logic runs out and he's confronted with a literal mirror.
Right.
Because then I think again you're going to see in the sequel you're going to see this like I am vengeance, I am the night, I am a nocturnal animal. You're going to see that Bruce break against the Joker, which is what always happens to Batman when he comes up against the Joker. Like that's the formula, right?
Right.
Is that like the only way to stop the Riddler is through logic. The only way to stop the Joker is by actually playing his game and winning.
Right.
Is by stooping to his level. And everybody that's mad that it's Barry Keoghan and not Joaquin Phoenix is my favorite thing ever.
Why?
Because it just doesn't need to be Joaquin Phoenix, right? Like you can't turn around and be like, oh, I wanted this Joker to have a Batman all along, because you're lying. You didn't want that.
No, you didn't want that.
Yeah. But like,
think
so the
thing,
first thing that happens, I was in the theater. I saw this in the theater, right? The first thing that happens when the lights come up at the end is I hear a conversation going on, and the guy just goes, all I'm saying is this is my favorite movie of all time. I feel like it's been disrespected. And another person goes, what are you talking about? He goes, I mean, it should be the real Joker, right? Like the Joker from the Joker movie. That's the real Joker. And I was just like, I actually want to fight this guy.
I feel like it shouldn't be. Almost
I fully agree.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think the Joker is a character. I think the only way to honor Heath Ledger, which I think I'm the only one that still feels this way, that like his performance was groundbreaking.
No, you're not the only one that feels that way.
Feels like I am. Anytime I bring it up, people are like, that movie kind of sucks.
Okay, well, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Just as your co-host on this show, I 100%
would say
agree
the only
with
way
you.
to honor it is to have not as many actors as possible, but I would make the Joker like, I'd make it like,
I would make him like Batman, right? Like,
I don't know if I would even go a step further than Batman. I would say like, I think this would be interesting is if you had, I think the Joker should be like Ra's al Ghul. Like the character of the Joker should be like Ra's al Ghul. So even if in this trilogy, the second movie was Robert Pattinson versus Barry Keoghan as the Joker, the next movie is also against the Joker, but this time he's played by that dude from We're the Millers.
Will Poulter?
Yeah, Will Poulter.
Interesting.
Oh, that's my dream cast for the Joker. For
Interesting. Sure. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize he was... I didn't know who Barry Keoghan was until I looked it up later. Like, I didn't recognize him from his little cameo.
No, I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't know.
Which I do want to say, I also love Matt Reeves' willingness to just like address things. Because like after the movie came out, he was like, yeah, so that is the Joker. He hasn't become the Joker yet. He's been in prison because Bruce put him there during the first 2 years of this world, but he has not created the Joker persona yet. And that he is like permanently physically scarred from some sort of accident not related to Bruce. But like Bruce is the reason he is in Arkham.
Just giving us all the answers.
Yeah, just literally going out and being like, yep, totally, 100% is the Joker. Not going to make you wait for this. Like, that's going to be the next movie. Like, we're all Gucci. Everything's great. Yeah, and just telling people things. Like, that's super cool. Matt Reeves, I think, has taken an ownership over this movie in a way that a lot of directors don't. And, like, almost every superhero director is afraid to, except for, like, Taika.
I think for the most part, that is because their characters are only so much in their control.
Sure. But, I think that he had a lot of control here in a way that, like...
No, I think that's exactly what happened. I think,
yeah.
Say you're Matt Reeves, right? And you're like, I haven't done a superhero movie yet, but I had that really great Planet of the Apes thing. And you get a call from, DC, and they send over a contract, and you're like, cool, I'll think about it. And then Marvel calls up and sends you a contract, and they're like, and both of them are like, you can't work with the competitor.
You can't work with the competitor. We want you to direct,
and Marvel says, we want you to direct the Moon Knight film or something, right? Like, we're going to take a season, and then we're going to do a film.
Yeah.
And you can do that. But here's the thing, Moon Knight, blah, blah, blah. Shang-Chi has to be in it. Ant-Man has to be in it. Blah, 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 all this shit. And DC calls them up, and they're like, hey, we thought you did great with Planet of the Apes. Do whatever you want with Batman.
Yeah, we want Zoe Kravitz in it, but that's it.
Right. Yeah, we
And
wanted
he's
to
just
grab
like,
it.
he's
She
like,
was
so I can pick whoever I want to play, because that's how Matt Reeves talks. He's just like, yeah, so I can pick like whoever I want to play Batman.
They're like, yeah, you can do whoever you want.
And he's
You
like,
don't
cool,
have to-
I want the Twilight guy, the Bat from
Hey.
Twilight.
Who are they making you work with over at Marvel? Oscar Isaac? Yeah, you absolutely don't have to work with Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
We can make him disappear if you want. And then
Oscar Isaac would make a terrible Batman.
hold on, think about this. And then Oscar Isaac gets a call from Warner Brothers, and he goes in, and they're like, "Ah, the boy who lived, come to die." And then they just kill Oscar Isaac right there.
Yeah,
But
except-
he doesn't die, and he leads a rebellion like
And
he does
does
in
Moon
Star
Knight.
Wars and does Moon Knight for Marvel.
Which, I mean, to be fair, Moon Knight looks awesome.
It looks very cool.
Looks so good.
I wish Pedro Pascal was in it.
Oh my god, have you seen the preview, the trailer for that? Yeah, you weren't on this episode that when Riley and I talked about it. Have you seen the trailer for The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
Yeah, there was a trailer for that before this.
Yeah.
With
That
Pedro
might
Pascal
be
and
my
Nick
new
Cage.
favorite movie ever.
I don't know, man. It looks awful.
No, it looks. What are you talking about? It looks so good.
It's not like Face Off Nick Cage, man. It's ooh, shoe doggy.
Yeah, but it's like meta.
Yeah. I don't know. Pedro Pascal has this character that they keep having him do. I think they call him up and they're like, "Hey, you remember Wonder Woman 84?" And he's like, yeah, unfortunately I do. I'm Pedro
Pascal's
Pascal.
not British.
I'm from Spain, which is near England.
Pedro Pascal's Chileno.
I'm from Chile, which is in South America, which is near England, sort of if you drilled through the earth in an angle where you'd end up in England.
You know why they had him do this character, right? Because he was in Narcos.
Oh, was he really? Was
He's
that
like the
him?
lead in Narcos.
Okay. Well, no, I thought they were doing this because they were like, that Wonder Woman 84 character you did was good. And
No,
he was
in
like,
2015 he was the lead in Narcos.
Is that
He-
Warner Brothers as well?
He also is the same character in I don't know if it's Warner Brothers, but he's basically the same character in Game of Thrones as well.
You know who he's really good as?
The Mandalorian.
The
Din
Mandalorian.
Djarin himself.
Din Djarin.
Man, I loved this movie, man. I loved Robert Pattinson as the Batman. This is the least Bruce we've ever gotten, right? Ever.
Yeah, there's like no Bruce.
There's
in
no
this.
Bruce in this, which I was fine with, right?
Bruce
'Cause I
is
don't-
an accessory.
I don't care about Bruce. And even at the end, the Riddler maybe knows that it's Bruce Wayne.
Right. There's that great moment where he's like, Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne. He's
You and
the
I
boy.
can take down Bruce Wayne. This movie
The
is
boy. Hold on. This is him. The boy who lived. Bruce Wayne.
what I loved was the running undercurrent of Bruce being like, pigeon, rat with wings, stool pigeon, falcons have pigeons, or falcons have wings. And I'm like, yeah, hey, Bruce, hey, Bruce. Hey, guess who else has wings, buddy?
You.
You.
Is it El Rada Mala?
La Rata Alada.
La Rata Alada.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie was funny. It was funny in like a in a way that made me laugh, and it was also funny in the same way that like Don't Look Up was funny.
Like that we're doomed.
Not even that we're doomed, but just in the they're talking about the thing in the dialogue, but like the characters don't know it.
Right. There was a great one. This made me almost leave the theater. Towards the end of the movie, they go, "Oh, we're going to Gotham Square Garden."
They drive by
We're going
Gotham
to-
Square Garden a couple times.
Yeah, we're going to Gotham Square Garden. In case
Yeah.
you guys didn't know, this one's New York.
Yeah, they just said it's New York.
Yeah, this one is New York.
Which
Last
I
time,
liked, honestly. Ballsy.
no. Gotham is Chicago every day of the week.
Gotham's absolutely not Chicago. Gotham's only been Chicago in the Dark Knight trilogy.
No,
Metropolis
it
is
is
Chicago,
never-
my dude.
No, Metropolis is New York.
No, it's not. No,
yes,
it's not.
it is.
No, it's not. Superman does not live in New York. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, yes, he does.
He
Superman
just doesn't. Also,
100% lives in New York.
if you ask Batman versus Superman, Metropolis and Gotham are literally like 5 miles away from each other.
Right.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that when they pull the map back and it's like their two cities are right there, like across a bay?
There's one. When I watched Arrow, they would always talk about. I think I've brought this up before. They're in Starling City, and the like the hood, the like bad part of town was called the Glades.
Yeah.
So I always pictured it being in like South Florida,
Yeah.
like the Everglades. But like zooming out at all, it was like cold all the time. It was snowing like year round. It was very clearly like Montreal or Minneapolis.
Yeah. No, Gotham is absolutely New York. It's always been New York.
I completely disagree.
It was that's
I don't. When I think you could not drop Bruce Wayne into a Spider-Man comic, but you could absolutely drop Superman in.
I disagree with that.
I think you can
Superman's existence negates the need for Spider-Man.
but
This
that's
is
not the
Superman.
point. It's the
First of all-
right setting.
First of all, Superman sucks. I'm so tired of Superman.
I mean, I don't think there's ever been a really fantastic one. I think Henry Cavill got the look. That
I would
dude's got
agree with
the
that.
look.
I would agree with that.
But they all did. All of them have had the look. Like there's not one.
What movie was
Superman.
he in from the neck down? Shazam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not even Henry Cavill. It was like a different actor in the suit.
Yeah. Man, Superman sucks. I hate Superman.
He hates you too.
If you could just make me a short film of just the Batman scenes from that upcoming like Superdog movie, I'd be down with that. Did you get the trailer for that?
No, I did not.
Okay, so before it played at my theater, I got like a very Batman centric trailer for the animated Warner Animation Group Superdog movie. Where like Dwayne The Rock Johnson plays Superman's dog. Kevin Hart plays Batman's dog.
Yep.
Yeah, and Keanu Reeves is playing Batman in that movie.
That's pretty cool.
And there's but it's like super meta where like Keanu Reeves is like, Batman doesn't need anybody. Batman doesn't have friends except for Rachel and Lucius and Alfred and whoever Morgan Freeman played.
That's so funny.
And just like naming people that Batman's friends with and Jim Gordon. And then he goes, after he's already named Lucius Fox, and he goes, and whoever Morgan Freeman played.
Oh, man.
So let's, Andy Serkis is as Alfred in this movie.
That's carried over, right? He was also Alfred for Ben Affleck, right?
No, Jeremy Irons was Alfred.
Jeremy
Ben Affleck.
Irons was. Yes. You are
This
right.
has nothing. This is not DCEU in any
I know
way.
it's not. Yeah, no, I didn't think it
Yeah.
was, but I thought maybe that was a casting choice where it was like J. Jonah Jameson.
No,
Oh,
Matt
yeah, it's
Reeves
just-
is straight up like, this is not, because they've already, so the minute this came out, they announced, I think, 3 spin-off HBO Max shows,
Yeah.
none of which include Selena Kyle.
Is Robert Pattinson doing them?
No. But that was what people were surprised by, that like, we're not going to give Selena Kyle her own show, because I do think they're going to give Selena Kyle her own movie.
I don't think that, like, I, as much as I think it would be very cool and awesome and inclusive, I don't think Zoe Kravitz is available enough.
Oh, she definitely is.
You think so?
Yeah, she has 2
I
things.
feel like she's constantly in stuff.
She has 2 things, and one of them only makes a movie every 4 years.
I guess that's
And also,
true.
solid chance she ends up dead in this movie.
Yeah.
Because somehow we have to get to the Lestranges being evil, right? Like, that has to be a thing.
Right. They are bad.
They are bad people.
They are the strange.
Yeah. Because, Rudolphus Lestrange was such a great character in the Harry Potter series that we really needed to tell his origin story.
Right. I needed to know.
Bellatrix Lestrange's husband, where she got the name from, really needed his own origin story. But yeah, no, Zoe Kravitz is, I think, she was willing to release pictures of her lapping milk out of a bowl onto the internet for promotion for this movie, like on purpose. Like nobody made her do that. She was just like, yeah, like in interview, she was like, yeah, I learned to drink milk like a cat. And people were like, really? And she was like, yeah, here's pictures. I've seen so much press junket footage from this movie just on TikTok.
I think you got a little crush on Bobby Pattinson, though.
Me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you think he's better than Will Arnett.
I do think I think he's a better actor than Will Arnett. Yeah.
You think he has more prestige than Will Arnett?
I think Will Arnett has never played a prestige role.
I know.
If Will Arnett was a live action Batman, he'd have prestige. Look, I don't like you're asking me to pick between like which of my fingers and toes is my favorite, right? Like I love Will Arnett, okay? I also love Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer and like the group of people that have played Christian Bale. The group of people that have played Batman is becoming my favorite group of human beings ever.
I know. Can you imagine if they did like an Ocean's movie for the Batman?
Dude, because like Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Will Arnett, Robert Pattinson, Keanu Reeves. That's just in my lifetime.
Kevin Conroy does the animated Batman voice.
I don't know who that is.
He was the animated Batman voice. For
right,
Batman
but is he anything
series.
else like that I would know him from?
So that was my.
Is he James Arnold Taylor? Like,
no, he's not.
Okay,
he's known for being Batman.
Okay, that's great. I'm sure he's fantastic. I just don't know him.
Right.
Yeah.
I posted my ranking
to,
of people who have played Batman, not as Batman, but just as people. And people were like, "Well, what about Kevin Conroy?" And I was like, "He's just Batman."
Adam West got a lot of that too.
Yeah, I was like, "What about Adam West?"
I've watched the Adam West Batman a little bit. I used to watch that on like TV Land when I was a kid. It would be like, we're gonna play a Batman and then an Andy Griffith, and I'm like, this is dope. I like this.
I wouldn't like that at all.
I'm 6. This is awesome.
Andy Griffith is the worst.
I know where you live.
I know you do.
I know where
Andy
you live.
Griffith is our fraternity brother.
I love Andy Griffith.
I cannot stand that show.
Oh man, I used to come home every day and watch Andy Griffith. It would come on before the news on Channel 7.
I know it would, because my mom would watch it.
Yeah.
Hated it. Every episode would be like, Andy, there's a baseball drowning at the watering hole.
And you know what? The guy that plays Opie on that movie or on that show, Ron Howard, responsible for Bryce Dallas Howard, the woman who's going to direct the next Star Wars movies.
Is that confirmed?
No, but like it's got to be, right?
Well, Rian Johnson was supposed to get a trilogy that they took it, right?
I don't think they took it. I don't know what's going on with that. But like she is clearly the golden child of The Mandalorian.
She's so good. Oh,
she's so good, right? She's fantastic. Now, granted, I have not seen Jurassic World Dominion, and I'm willing to bet that it's just going to make me cry the whole time. But like the first 2 Jurassic World movies kind of sucked. Bryce Dallas Howard was in them. Why don't you just let her do them?
I mean, the next one's going to have Sam Neill in it.
Yeah, it's got Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum back as their original characters. Legitimately, when they played that commercial at the Super Bowl, I cried.
My thing,
I full on cried.
So Sam Neill in Hunt for the Wilder People looks like he's 185 years old.
Yeah.
And that, like, I didn't realize that they, like, did that on purpose.
Yeah.
There's no reason for Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard to be in these movies. Like, you could have just kept Sam Neill and Laura Dern.
Right, but they had to. It had to be a reboot.
It didn't. That was the thing. Like,
no, I
Star
agree
Wars
that it didn't. I agree that it didn't.
like Star Wars did. Like Harrison Ford could be in it. Carrie Fisher could be in it. Mark Hamill's still in it.
They're old though.
But they're like old.
Yeah.
Sam Neill, he's old, but he's not playing Luke Skywalker. He's playing like an old paleontologist.
Right. And he was also not young to begin with.
Right, exactly.
Like never was I like, oh man, Alan Grant, like what a great 25-year-old.
Right.
I was like, he's as old as my dad.
Right.
Yeah, no, Bryce Dallas Howard, I would absolutely watch Star Wars trilogy directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. But actually, at the same time, like, I don't really want to disturb her from her workflow of making great Mandalorian episodes.
I know. We need that.
Yeah. But anyway, so Matt Reeves has like a million projects working in this new Batman universe. And I'm fine with that. I would prefer it if DC abandoned the DCEU entirely.
They kind of. I mean, they haven't, right? They're bringing in Black Adam, but they're kind of going a different direction. They're
Well,
like
the Black Adam's the
recasting.
Shazamiverse. I don't know what they're doing.
That's part of the DCEU. Shazam
But is it?
exists in
Because
the
they couldn't even
DCEU.
get Henry Cavill's face in it.
Well, that's the thing, is they're recasting Superman.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Henry Cavill's out.
Is he?
Yeah, which
Good for
I
him.
think.
Good
no,
for
I
him.
don't know that he knows. I mean, he knows, but it was one of those things where I think I'm almost definitely wrong about this, but I think I saw an interview where he was like, "Yeah, I just found out one day that I'm no longer
Henry
with
Cavill's
Superman."
British.
I know. I'm a little all over the place with my accents tonight. I like slid into an Australian, and it ended up sounding to me pretty good.
It's pretty
So
good,
I was like, I'm
but
just
it's
gonna
not
roll
Henry
with it.
Cavill.
I was playing Warhammer 40k, and I found out that I will no longer be the Superman.
No, honestly, I think what happened is that Henry Cavill was like, hang on. I'm an Oscar quality actor, not acting in Oscar quality movies.
That's what Matthew McConaughey did. He did an interview not too long ago where he was like, "Yeah, no. One day I just told my agent, stop putting me in rom-coms. I won't do them anymore. We'll wait as long as it takes.
Yeah,
I want a serious role."
And then he was in The Lincoln Lawyer.
He was in The Lincoln Lawyer. He was in Mud. He was in Interstellar.
Yeah. I drove a Lincoln before they paid me to. I would drive a Lincoln.
I'd drive a Lincoln.
Absolutely.
Ford? Heck yeah.
I would drive a Lincoln partially because Matthew McConaughey told me it was cool.
Yeah.
I
that
also
dude's
love The Lincoln Lawyer.
That's a cool dude.
That's a cool dude. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey was in a bunch of, he did he win his Oscar? Yeah, for Dallas Buyers Club, right? Yeah. But he's been in like exclusively like good movies since then.
Yeah.
He was like failure to launch, more like failure to take my career where I want it to go. I want to be in movies.
And then he did, what was the other one he did? He did a show.
No, I don't know.
It's a crime show.
Yeah, Henry Cavill was like, I'm going to be The Witcher, and then I'm going to be Sherlock Holmes.
I love his Sherlock. We're getting an Enola Holmes too. I'm very excited.
Oh, man, I hated that movie.
I can pull up audio right now that says I loved that movie. This is
No,
audio.
not from me. Definitely not from me.
This is me being Ethan Edgehill.
I didn't like that movie that
Enola
much. I
Holmes.
liked Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. It wasn't that great of a movie. And this is not me hating on Millie Bobby Brown.
Tyler.
Like, I love Millie Bobby Brown. She's fantastic. I want her to be in things. I don't need her to be Sherlock Holmes' baby sister.
I didn't need Sherlock to be in it at all. I just wanted them to be like, yeah, this is Enola Holmes.
Yeah, but you
She's
can't
the
draw
new
me
Holmes
Henry
character.
Cavill as Sherlock Holmes and then give me that little of it.
I know. So good.
Yeah, I like Pattinson as the Batman, but also like I enjoy watching him and Zoe Kravitz talk to each other. Like so rarely, with the exception of like Tom Holland and Friends, the whole like Tom Holland verse. So rarely do you feel like people actually like have a good connection after making a movie together these days.
Right.
But like
I've always thought that was so weird that like actors could work with somebody every day for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then just like, we're just not friends anymore.
But like Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson are out here in interviews, like finishing each other's sentences. Like
I know. I've seen them finish each other's sandwiches a few times.
Yeah.
Can I do a bit, Ethan?
Yeah.
Are you ready for my bit?
I mean, this is not a great way. I'll be honest with you. This is not a great way to introduce a bit.
I want to do a thing.
Just do a thing. Listeners, you're about to hear a thing from Tyler Daniel Carlin.
This is Bruno Madrigal as a customer support line. Ring, ring. Hola, está Bruno. Uh-huh.
Nope.
No, yeah, I know the problem.
Nope. Hey, Tyler.
I saw this coming.
Run that one back, buddy. You got the wrong. It's not está Bruno.
Estoy Bruno.
No.
Soy Bruno.
Soy Bruno.
Hola, soy Bruno. Can't believe I messed that up.
I can. You've never gotten it right. Ever.
It's one of those things. You can't just have two verbs for I am. And before you come at me and be like, I am, we are. Shut up. English is the best.
Did you ever see the random U.S. senator that tried to tweet "Let's go Brandon" in Russian, but didn't understand that Russian has like verbs of motion? So like a bunch of people like responded and like, you said "Let's go Brandon" in the way somebody said "Let's go skiing." You said "Let's go, comma Brandon."
That's such a weird thing. What do you think? I don't want to get into it.
I don't want to talk about the war. I just needed to tell you about Russian verbs of motion.
I don't want to talk about the war either. I did think maybe we should cover Rocky, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
I mean, I'm down for that, but I feel like we should cover like Rocky 4 if we're going to cover Rocky.
Rocky 1 through 4?
No, just like the one that has Ivan Drago in it.
Isn't it always Russian?
No.
Oh, I can't keep up with these Rocky movies.
No. No, we got to cover this stupid boy band panda movie next week.
I'm excited.
I'm not excited at all. I've never been less excited for a Pixar movie. I think it looks terrible.
So excited.
I'm willing to be swayed. Obviously, I'm not going to go into it with like I'm going to hate this. I'm sure it's going to be great. It's Pixar, right? Like they don't usually miss with original movies, but it looks so bad.
I think it looks so fun.
I'm a little bit more excited knowing that it's like takes place in the 90s and isn't like K-pop based, but
you're not a big K-pop guy.
Not a big K-pop guy. No.
What about hyperpop?
I mean, I guess.
Do you have a favorite hyperpop artist?
Yeah, whatever guy did Sugar Crash. It's the only hyperpop song I know off the top of my head.
Oh, what a banger.
Does Oliver Tree count as hyperpop?
I don't know who that is.
Does Boy with Uke count as hyperpop?
I'm betting not, since that sounds like he has a ukulele.
I mean, probably not. Oliver Tree's the dude that does that, like, life goes on and on and on and on and on.
I hate that.
I like that guy. He's great. I mean, that song sucks, and he admits that song sucks. And he talked to Logan Paul about how that song sucks. But he's got good songs. You lost all semblance of light on your face, by the way.
I know I did. Look at that. Look, I can fix it.
I do just need you to know that.
How's this for like a key light?
It's terrible. I mean, it may be great, but it's like not, your camera's not working for you. Is Orville Peck hyperpop?
I don't know who Orville Peck is.
He's that country singer that wears fringe over his face.
I have no idea what
you're not keeping up with the teens these days and what they're listening to.
I'm not. I'm what you call out of touch. I'm a parent.
I'll tell you what. I lost a lot of faith in pop music for a long time, but the current crop of Zoomers are listening to some good stuff.
Well, yeah, the Zoomers are so much smarter than us.
Yeah, they weren't for a while though, because like pop music's been bad for a while. And like I got down with it, right? Like I like Post Malone as much as the next guy, but Spotify was down yesterday, right? You know, were you familiar with that concept?
Yeah, I saw that like people had to listen to like Apple Music for a day.
Like Spotify broke worldwide.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I went into my Apple Music library and queued up Punk Goes Pop Volume 4.
Yeah.
Specifically, I started with the All-Star Weekend cover of Yeah 3X by Chris Brown.
It's one of my all-time favorite covers.
And we just like, they don't make pop music right anymore. There was a long time where pop music was bad. I'm just go out and say it. There was a long time there where pop music was bad, and it happened right after that. I've previously credited Payphone by Maroon 5 as being the death of pop music, and I stand by that now because every original song on that record slaps. Cause you got Just the Way You Are by Bruno Mars, Rolling Deep by Adele, and Yeah 3X by Chris Brown, and Fuck You by CeeLo Green, and like Last Friday Night by Katy Perry, and then after that it just started to suck, right? Because like pop music was bad enough that Punk Goes Pop died.
I know, that was wild.
Because they just couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't punkify those songs. Like, what are you gonna do with Ariana Grande's Sweetener album? How are you gonna you can't punkify that.
34 plus 35, baby.
That song is more punkifiable. So is Seven Rings, man. The These Are My Favorite Things ripoff.
Yeah.
Like breakfast at Tiffany's and bottles of bubbly. You could absolutely do some metalcore shit with that and it'd be rad. What do you listen to right now?
Punk Goes Pop Volume 4.
Yo, hold on. You need to listen to
I ask me, do I look okay? You know I say.
That was pre-Collide with the Sky, Vic Fuentes, man. That dude had no idea what was ahead of him.
It's not a thing that I would
That album came out in 2011, and then Pierce the Veil turned around and wrote one of the seminal, that type of music albums ever. Right after that, I want to go back and tell the guy that did the Bruno Mars cover that he was eventually going to be my hero.
You like Pierce the Veil?
Oh, absolutely. Collide with the Sky by Pierce the Veil's fantastic record. You should listen. I need you right now to go listen to Pink Rover by Scene Queen.
All right. Pink.
Because this is a song that came across my radar the other day.
This is kind of like Selfie by the Chainsmokers meets Squid Game.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of TikTok videos like duetting the girl that does it, and it was dudes like, how is this person signed to Hopeless Record, which is like an emo label. Like that's where Pierce the Veil signed to. And people are like, yo, what is going on with this?
There's a sound in this song.
Yeah. It's like a siren. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a bunch of TikTok videos of dudes just being like, yo, what is this crap? And like disappearing off screen. And then the thing drops and they just come like busting through a door on the other side of the frame.
It does. It bangs when it hits.
Bangs. It comes out of nowhere. Oh, man. Anyway, State of the Scene is strong. I vibe with what the Zoomers are listening to right now.
That's good. I'm proud of you for that.
I mean, so don't get me wrong. There's some absolute nonsense that gets featured because of TikTok. Like there's that there's that like I could be a better boyfriend song.
There's one
which is like fine, but it's just like it's like a combination of every girl that's like trying to be Billie Eilish without actually saying anything.
Right. There was one that went around for a while. It was called like Coffee for Your Head or something.
Yeah.
I hate that song with every fiber of my being.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't actually sound like that. That's like a remix.
This is the one they played on the radio.
Oh, I know. I heard it in 7-Eleven one time.
Yeah, and I hate it. It drives me absolutely nuts. If you like that song, that's fine.
There was one song that I still vibe with to this day. I mean, to this day being like, it had its moment like a month ago on TikTok. It was called like So Hot You're Hurting My Feelings by Caroline Polachek.
Nice.
And it had like a really goofy dance that went with it, but it was just a total mood. All I'm saying is that Robert Pattinson was a great Batman.
I'm with it. I'm going to continue to defend it. When people say they didn't like his performance, I'm going to be like, nah, you're wrong. I heard somebody being like, oh, it's just like he did in Twilight. I was like, no, it was very, very different than what he did in Twilight.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, I don't feel like, as Batman, I think we got a lot out of him. As Bruce.
Not at all.
Not at all.
But I don't think the movie didn't ask anything of Bruce, though.
Then, like, I don't know.
That was the only thing I didn't love about it, was the fact that there are like clear moments where it's setting you up for a sequel. And I always kind of hate that, right? Like,
at least it's not post-credit scenes.
It's not post-credit scenes. Let's talk for a second about, because I tweeted some controversial opinions yesterday about the length of this movie, and I got a lot of blowback from that.
Did you think it was too long?
I want to know what you thought about the length of this movie.
It felt like a very normal theater experience, but as an at-home viewing experience, I think the length is asking way too much of me.
Did you watch it at home?
No, I watched it in the theater.
Okay.
I didn't feel like I needed to get up at any point while I was watching it.
Yeah, I disagree with you, but I've always disagreed with you about this. I think that length is a bad reason to either like or dislike a movie.
I've never said I liked or disliked something. I mean, I've jokingly said that, but I've never based my opinion on the length of a movie.
I think you have, but
I think if I say it's long and that's my complaint, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's poorly paced. It feels
in the future, I would ask you to say it's poorly paced then, because like I do really think there's a war out right now on like long movies.
I think I waged this war. I think I am the reason this war exists. The first thing I check when I'm looking at something to watch is how long the movie is.
So our friend James, a fan of the show, multiple guests of the show, friend of ours, texted us. He was the first person I knew to see it. Texted us and was like, "Man, that was a marathon. I mean, I loved it, but it was long." And when this movie ended, I was like, "It's over? No way."
I felt the same way. Yeah,
but then I tweeted yesterday. I was like, "Man, a lot of y'all, when you saw Endgame was 3 hours long, were like, this is a great thing. And when you saw the Batman was 3 hours long, you said this shouldn't be allowed. Why is that?" And a lot of people were like, "Oh, because Endgame had good pacing," which it didn't.
My thing with Endgame is I want it to feel like 3 hours.
I mean, that's fair. I didn't. I think Endgame is a full half hour too long.
Disagreed.
Yeah, there's no part of me right now that wants to watch Avengers Endgame.
I want to watch it.
My stock drops on Avengers Endgame daily. Every time a new piece of content comes out for the MCU, I want to watch it less. Honestly. I'm not trying to minimize what it did. And how I felt about it when I saw it in theaters. Because like obviously the moment when like Cap grabs the hammer is like one of my top 5 theater experiences ever. Like I'm not trying to minimize that in any way, but like I do think it really truly suffers from a rewatchability problem simply for the fact that it is like a super heavy movie that is the culmination of like 30 other movies, which is great. Like that is what it had to be, right? That's what they set up, and it's fine. But like to call it the greatest movie of all time, I think is asinine.
That sounds like a white boy podcast take to me.
That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I will continue to go to war against Avengers Endgame. I truly think it's slowly becoming one of the most overhyped movies, one of the most overrated movies ever.
You honestly, like, I couldn't disagree with you more. It's so freaking good.
Sure, it's good, but like, it's not.
It's inspiring.
It's not. I wouldn't even put it in my top 10 Marvel movies. Legitimately.
Oh, I would.
But legitimately.
I mean, I would want to say that it's not. I would want to have a more nuanced and unique opinion, but
I don't think it's. I'm not trying to go for a nuanced and unique opinion, right? Like, I'm not trying to be better than anybody by saying that. Right? I don't think that like Avengers Endgame is bad is the correct take, and I'm not trying to take Avengers Endgame away from anybody, but it's like I am constantly having Avengers Endgame waged against movies that I love. Because like to this day, people are still actively mad on the internet that it did not win Best Picture.
I've literally never once seen anybody upset about this.
I saw people upset about it today. Your brother Jonathan was upset about it yesterday. Yesterday, out loud. Was like
Jonathan doesn't understand the Oscars. The Oscars is our thing.
Okay. But they get to talk. He gets to talk. People on Twitter get to talk.
And you just have to be sitting there like, Oh no, obviously not.
But I
that's
don't.
not the point of the Oscars.
But I don't because if you say that, they get mad at you.
You don't have to say it. You just got to know it. You can be quiet about that one.
But why do I have to be quiet if they get to be loud? That's my problem.
Because you being quiet affirms that we are truly the better film fan. I'll say this. I love this movie. I thought it was beautiful. I will absolutely watch it again. I think this is not, for me, it's not the best Batman movie. I still love The Dark Knight. But this is the best non-Nolan Batman. And I think it's better than...
I mean, yeah, that's, I think, a no-brainer. It should be. It should be a no-brainer. Right? Like, this is... Okay, listener. 100% transparency. This is better than the Tim Burton movies.
Yeah.
Like, I hesitate to... I don't want to be like, oh, well, this movie is better than this movie. No. This is better than the Tim Burton Batman movies. Now, those can still be your favorite. But, like, this is a better movie. You get it, right?
Yeah.
Like, as far as is it better than Dark Knight, I'm not going to say yes, I'm not going to say no. Is it like at the same way I'm not going to say it's better than Avengers Endgame, right? Cuz they're completely different movies. They're there for different purposes. They're accomplishing different things. Right? Like I do want to say we kind of left it off on Avengers Endgame. I'm not trying to say I don't like Avengers Endgame, and I'm not trying to say you can't love Avengers Endgame. Do I get why Avengers Endgame didn't get a Best Picture? Yeah. Do I get why this will probably be nominated for Best Picture but not win? Yes. Do I think the Academy is wrong for that? No.
So you think this will get a nomination?
I think this will get I think the only reason this doesn't get a nomination is recency bias.
Yeah, because it just came out.
The Academy has a very strong recency bias. Very strong recency bias.
Yeah.
Where like Academy Best Picture winners come out in December or January.
Right. It's really what are the best movies of the last 2 months?
Right. And oftentimes I've never heard of half of them.
Yeah.
Because most of them haven't even been widely released yet. Which I think is horseshit, but that's a whole different topic for a whole different episode.
It's because...
But I think if Dune got a Best Picture nomination, this will get a Best Picture nomination. And I
think this fills that.
I fully think it deserves it. Not as a superhero movie, but just as a film. Because it's...
Did you think the riddles were good?
What?
Did you think the riddles were good?
No.
I didn't think they were very good at all.
They're not supposed to be.
That was disappointing to me. I think they should be. A fantastic Riddler has fantastic riddles. That's how I feel.
Well, we've never seen that.
Like Dan Brown, right? He can't write riddles.
Right, but like Jim Carrey's riddles in Batman Forever were like, what's black and full of holes? Batman. Ha 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 ha. Because I shoot him, yeah. Like we're never gonna get, if I shoot and aim, will riddle you. What's gonna come out of the gun? Injustice. The tools of cowards and criminals.
Bullets!
Is it helicopter? Lucius, I got a riddle for you. If we aim
helicopter
to shoot and then there's riddles, is it helicopter? No, I already guessed that. I think it was helicopter. I just didn't want to admit I got it so fast. But like the riddles are supposed to be immediately obvious because he's a serial killer, right? Like,
no, they go for like a Ted Bundy thing. Not Ted Bundy.
Zodiac.
Zodiac.
Who is a serial killer?
Right.
I
would have taken Ted Bundy.
Okay, I just want to clarify what you just said. I said, he's a serial killer, and you said, no, they go for like a Ted Bundy fight.
No, I guess what I
Tyler, you do understand that both
like,
Ted Bundy and the Zodiac were serial killers, right?
I do. What I meant to say is like, no, but like the way that like kids tweet, like they'll start a tweet as though it's like a rebuttal to an argument, or they're like building on somebody else's
Australian
point.
Yes.
Right.
It's like, no, yeah means yes, and yeah, nah means no.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh no.
Your root beer. Clear.
Condensation. What we haven't had yet is Australian Batman.
We had Australian Wolverine.
No, I mean like Australian. Like he fights crime in Australian
like
Gotham.
Sydney.
Yeah, like Melbourne.
In Melbourne.
Listen here.
I am the night. I am the
I am
Crike.
the night.
If you look.
New Zealand Batman be like, I am the Batman.
If you look here, there are actually 23 breed of Australian bat that could bite your head off.
What you've got
I like to
understand
imagine
about
that
Batman
Australian Batman.
is that, look, none of the bats in New Zealand have no natural predator. Therefore, they can't have villains. Can you imagine like Maori Batman? Like he's 7 feet tall, like built like a brick
Covered in
shit house,
tattoos.
doesn't wear just a cape with all the tattoos and the helmet
and the
it's just
cowl.
like,
Yeah.
hey, bruv, want to solve some crime?
Play some rugby? All blacks?
You've got Maori, they're massive. And they just come up to you like, oh, no need to be scared. Oh, man. All right. Let's get some. You got any? Give me your final thoughts on the Pat Bat.
My final thoughts is there's a scene towards the end of the movie where Robert Pattinson is leading people through a flood and he's got his bat suit on and he's carrying a torch. That's my favorite.
Oh, that was fantastic.
That's when I said I'd get a seat for this movie tattooed across my back. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so cool.
That was so cool. Because that point, he becomes just like a regular hero. Yeah.
He just starts saving people.
Just starts saving people willy-nilly. I also kind of like the fact that Gotham is like completely fucked at the end.
Yeah, like screwed.
And he's like, it's going to take a while, but we'll rebuild. We'll be stronger. It's going to take a whole city. And then there was no post-credit scene.
And then, so after he says all those lines, Mirabelle Madrigal comes out and starts singing about,
Look at this city. It needs a new foundation.
Right. And so, and then they end up on Paramount Mountain. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
SpongeBob was there.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was nuts.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, this movie is so wild that, like, you can't even tweet spoilers. They sound fake.
Yeah.
Because if I went on Twitter right now and I was like, man, I loved how the Batman score was just 2 notes and then a Nirvana song and then Ave Maria, and that's it. People would be like, what the fuck are you talking? That's got to be a lie.
But I think there is the one spoiler that's like, oh, by the way, the Joker.
Yeah. But, like, so I was talking to your brothers at work the other day, yesterday, about this.
Los Hermanos
Carlin.
de Pop.
So Rhett and Link do Buenos y Míticas Dias, where they have Good Mythical Morning like dubbed into Spanish.
Uh-huh.
And the dude that plays Rhett sounds exactly like Rhett. The dude that plays Link sounds nothing like Link.
Nice.
And I've pitched your brothers the idea of doing like Los Hermanos Carlin.
Would you just dub it
I would
yourself?
do both of them, yeah. But yeah, we were talking about
Jack.
we were talking about the subversion of expectations as a trope. And how, honestly, at this point, in order to subvert expectations, you have to do exactly what you're supposed to do in linear order.
Right.
Because, like, for the most part, with the exception of the fact, and I'm going to... Listeners, if you haven't seen Spider-Man, No Way Home, I'm going to give you spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. So please go watch it, or just fast forward, 2 minutes or whatever. But, like, you can't really spoil Spider-Man No Way Home. Like... What are you going to be like? Oh, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in it. Cool. Yeah. So is the Green Goblin. Yeah. So is Doc Ock and the Sandman and Electro. And you're like, okay, but what happens? It was like a superhero movie. Like, it just happens. Like, they break the multiverse. Yeah, that was in the trailer. You can't spoil it, right? Like, you can't spoil this movie. I mean, you could be like, oh, man, the Joker's in it for half a second. Then Matt Reeves is on Twitter like, yeah, it was the Joker. 100%.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, no theories. It's the Joker. He's not the Joker yet, but he is a serial killer, and he's in prison because of Bruce Wayne. So, like, it is subversion of expectations, which is wild, and I love it so much.
This was kind of a shocking moment for me. In this route, they have Martha being Arkham.
Martha Arkham? Yeah, that was honestly the biggest spoiler.
That was great.
And it was just a passing glance, right, of the Waynes and the Arkhams, Gotham's biggest families merging together, and like, because honestly, it gives impetus for why people that are not Carmine Falcone would want Bruce Wayne or want Thomas Wayne dead.
Right.
Also, Thomas
and the whole plot line that Thomas Wayne is like a false idol.
Thomas Wayne is a false idol running for mayor. And there was a lot of stuff we didn't talk about in this movie. Thomas Wayne being a false idol and running for mayor, but also like the mayor just being like a genuinely decent person. Also, I don't want to talk about the war, but like Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, being the way he is like working as marketing for the Batman.
I don't know anything about this.
So basically, the president of Ukraine, Joe Biden, the American president, was like, "Hey, we'll get you out of Kiev if you want, so that you don't die in the war." And he was like, "No, I don't want to ride. I want guns. Help! I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna fight the Russians myself.
Nobody else will.
Nobody else will. Yeah, and the mayor in this movie, the newly elected mayor, is just like exactly the same way. They're like, we got to get you out of here. And she's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean get me out of here? I'm the fucking mayor. This is where I belong.
I just couldn't disagree more, Mrs. Mayor.
Also, Jim Gordon not being the commissioner, I think, is a brilliant, subtle tactic.
I didn't even catch that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Jim Gordon doesn't get to be commissioner or police. Jim Gordon's like a cop.
Like a beat cop.
Like a beat cop. Well, not a beat. I mean, he definitely has some pull. He's like a detective or lieutenant, whatever. But like, he is not the commissioner, and they're straight up saying, like, there are no good cops at the top.
Right.
Because even when they pull Carmine Falcone out and they're like, some of us don't work for you. It's like dudes in hats, right? Like, it's not
right.
It's not the brass. It's your random beat cops.
They were talking. I was reading Midnight Riot today. Ben Aronovich. This is the second time it's come up now. And they were talking about street clothes cops is what they called everyone who like wasn't like a beat cop.
Yeah,
was like a street clothes cop.
Yeah, we do the same thing in the States. Plain clothes.
Plain clothes?
Yeah.
That's what they call it. Plain clothes.
Yeah, plain clothes.
Street clothes?
I think he says street clothes in, I think that's the English term.
Yeah.
But they also have a different like police system like than we do.
Constables.
Just we're police constable, whatever,
We have a weird police system too.
I mean, sure, theirs is just more like the military, I guess. But once you stop being a private, you get to like just be a person. Like a lot of our cops are always they're always in uniform.
Yes.
Like, it's not just implied that you stop being in uniform at some point.
Correct. Yeah, you could be very far into your career and still
be a uniformed officer.
Right.
It's like you become a detective and you get to wear a suit.
What a weird practice.
Yeah,
I like chef pants myself.
Chef pants?
Yeah. The crazy patterns.
I think the uniform for chefs is one of my favorite things ever. Where you have to wear like the jacket, right? Like you have the chef jacket, and then you get to wear whatever comfy pants you want, as long as they're insane.
Right.
And you have to have the hat.
You have to have the toque.
You don't have to wear it, but you have to have it, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
And you're required to have like a knife tattooed on your arm.
And you should be really religious.
No.
That's what I picture, like a cross necklace or something.
I saw a guy
chain.
the other day on TikTok that was just like, listen, I don't know how it is in y'all states, but if I go into a restaurant and the chef in the restaurant looks like an extra from Duck Dynasty, I know that the food there is gonna fucking slap. And that's true.
He's not wrong.
Because the last time I was at like River and Rail, I looked at the chefs and they all look like extras from Duck Dynasty. They're wearing like trucker hats and like t-shirts with the comfy pants. You good?
I am. I thought I heard Emily coming down the stairs, and I can't see. I'm under the stairs right now, and
Sure.
I can't see anything. And
I
had
feel
these
like if you're
headphones
under
on.
the stairs, you would know if there's somebody coming down the stairs.
Well, they've got all these sound paneling on them. I don't know.
I mean, I got plenty of sound paneling in this room, but I still know if somebody's on the roof.
Yeah. Yeah. I
All
guess
right,
that's fair.
let's wrap this show up. We've said
All right.
a lot of words.
I got Paramore in my ears.
You're still listening? I cannot believe you do that. That is the wildest thing. We got very few reviews in the Discord and the Facebook. I was kind of surprised that fewer people saw this. I mean, more people saw this than saw Encanto in theaters. That's for sure.
Yeah, nobody saw Encanto in
Because I
theaters.
remember when we did
totally
the Encanto
messed that
episode,
up.
people were like mad at us.
Because they were like, nobody would have seen this.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was just like, because we were like, oh, this is one of the best Disney movies ever. And people were like, what are you talking about? Like, this is, nobody's going to watch this movie. And then,
And
now
it is like the biggest
now
movie
it's like,
ever.
yeah, the biggest movie ever. And I was like, yeah, you guys remember that time?
You didn't believe?
You didn't believe me?
All right, give me that listener score. Just to recap everybody on the scores we have, though, I gave it an 82, Ethan a 98, Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 86, Metacritic a 72, and the Rotten Tomatoes audience was an 89.
And the Bacon and Eggs listeners were a 91.
Dang! It gives it an 88.7, which rounds up to an 89 official Bacon and Eggs score. If you want to vote on this, our Facebook group is 100% free to join. We'd love for you to hang out there. We pop in a lot. If you have questions for us, we're typically pretty quick to respond. This loses to Fantastic Mr. Fox and beats White Christmas.
Okay. That's an interesting group for this to fall into.
I would say that's kind of exactly how I feel, honestly.
I like this more than Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, I probably do too. And then, but it's
What's above Fantastic
it's
Mr. Fox?
It's a good list. It's Tick Tick Boom, Encanto, School of Rock, and No Way Home.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I would put this above Fantastic Mr. Fox, but it's somewhere in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
range.
it's so Fantastic Mr. Fox, just to give you a perspective, Fantastic Mr. Fox is an 88.7, and I'm sorry, Fantastic Mr. Fox is 89.4, and this is 88.7.
But like,
so they're both 89s.
sure. But like,
They're
Fantastic
like
Mr.
right
Fox, I would not say could be the number one movie. This I would say could. Encanto definitely. Tick Tick Boom definitely. No Way Home definitely. School of Rock definitely. Like,
Yeah.
I forget how many bangers we've covered.
You know what I actually really want to revisit? Because it gives me the right sort of cozy feeling in a weird way, is Eternals.
Interesting. I still hate that movie. I've only seen it once, but I don't want to watch it again.
Oh, I do.
But
it feels so
again,
spacious.
I had a long conversation with Beth about last night, Beth Rickles, about the MCU. And like, I love that I hated Eternals. Like, I love
Why?
that Marvel is out there making movies that I don't like.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love that Shang-Chi is out there upsetting people. The Black Widow's out there upsetting people, right? Like, nothing makes me happy. Because as much as I love Infinity War and Endgame, they got real safe for a while. Like, those movies are for everybody. And I don't have a problem with movies for being for everybody, but, like, they gave us 24 straight movies that were for everybody. And now they're like...
But everybody is oddly exclusive as well. It is for the biggest piece of the pie.
Right, but like I don't think that you're. There's not a lot of people that dislike the whole MCU.
No, there's people that dislike dislike superhero movies on principle, but it's like I understand disliking superhero movies on principle. That doesn't mean you have to dislike every superhero.
But like if you hate women, you're not going to like Black Widow. If you're racist, you're not going to like Shang-Chi.
Right.
You know,
but that's pretty broad. Like,
no, right. But like if you're a racist woman hater, you feel pretty safe watching, Captain America: Civil War. Right. Like,
I think that's certainly true. But I think if you are, I don't know. I don't know who wouldn't relate to what. That's not for me to decide. And I feel like I'm going to step on myself.
Oh my God. The conversation of, let me make it clear. I am, the reason I am not excited for Turning Red by Pixar is not because I can't see myself in it. I don't like red pandas.
You did turn into a giant red panda when you would get mad, like when you get worked up in hhigh school too. So I think you can really,
I feel called out by it. I feel seen in a way I don't want to, right? Like, yeah, no, to be fair, I definitely think I'm going to end up liking the movie, right? But like,
can I tell you something that I used to do? Can I make a confession to you, Ethan? One time when we were in like middle school or high school, I took notice to the fact that you didn't like to be called out for stuff.
And then proceeded to push that button constantly for the next 10 years? On purpose?
I don't think I do that much anymore.
No, but you did for a long time.
I did. And I'm sorry, okay? That was not a very kind thing to do. I think I wanted to tease my friends and I didn't know how.
Yeah, for a long time, you and I were not, I would say we're not good at being each other's friends, right? Like, I think we have a very healthy relationship now. I don't think we always did, but I think we had a healthy, unhealthy relationship. Like,
I remember, can I tell you the rest of the story? Because I feel really bad about it. So when people would ask me like, oh, what's Ethan like? And I was being mischievous, I would say, oh, he really doesn't like to be called out. And then I would give them exactly this example. I would say, all right, boys, something I just got to point out real quick. You can't eat the urinal cakes. Ethan, talking to you. And you never eaten urinal cakes.
Yeah.
But I thought that was like the funniest thing. I was like, if you say that, he'll get so pissed. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever. But it obviously wasn't. Nobody ever did it.
And you used to do this thing, and you still do to some point, to some extent. Like, I don't think this trait will ever leave you. But you used to do this thing where like anybody would express any kind of like negative opinion on anything, and you'd be like, oh, just don't let stuff bother me. It just doesn't bother me.
I don't let stuff bother me. I feel this way entirely.
But like somebody would be like, oh man, I didn't love that movie. I just didn't let it bother me.
Why would we be talking about it if you didn't like
and
it?
Like,
Which movie did you like? Let's talk about that one.
For literally everything to the point where it was insufferable for a long time.
I had a religious awakening right around when this particular feeling started.
Yeah.
And for me, like, that religious awakening was founded in like radical acceptance. And so like the people I was around, like in church places.
I think you saw it as radical acceptance.
I saw it as radical acceptance.
I think you are more radically accepting today than you were in.
Oh yeah, I think so. I was very confused.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But I remember thinking a lot of things that like I would think, and I would see the contradiction in what I was saying, and I would be like, that's got to be a lesson I haven't learned yet. I accept that contradiction. And upon further reflection, like I have a degree in Christian philosophy. Those lessons aren't there. The contradiction's bad. Like,
Right.
but I'm not going to.
But you know what else is bad? Evangelism.
Right. But we're not going to dive into that. This episode, I feel like, has flirted with that line a little too
No,
much.
I agree. We'll get Kevin Garcia back at some point and talk about another super
Right,
queer
and we'll
movie.
give you a trigger warning before.
Yeah, we
the
can talk
episode.
about the
religious trauma.
and the deep issues with evangelism.
Right. But this is not the
Anyway,
place
yeah,
for
this
that.
has been an episode of Bacon and Eggs. We talked about the Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman.
I for
Batman.
one am excited for more.
This is my final thought. I'll say this.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I think the best Batman movie that's ever made will be made with Robert Pattinson. I don't think it's been made yet.
Oh, I fully agree with that. Which is like, and weirdly enough, I think that the Dark Knight trilogy is so intrinsic to the enjoyment of modern, like, air quotes, cinema from the mainstream perspective that, like, people don't want the Dark Knight to be beaten. And that's stupid. You should always want there to be a better movie.
Well, I'm still waiting.
That's fine. I don't think you'll be waiting that long. I do think it will happen. I think there will eventually be a bet because they're just going to keep rebooting Batman forever, right? Because like, I think
there's already talks of Michael Keaton doing a live action.
Right, because
Batman again.
it's an absolutely fantastic character that like everybody is familiar with at least some part of the archetype for. Like Batman is almost, I would say almost as influential to, not influential, but like almost as much a part of American culture as like George Washington or Jesus.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows Batman. Everybody has an assumption of Batman. But like you should always want there to be a better Batman movie.
I know.
This is a conversation that comes up for me so much with people that aren't you, Tyler. But like when I start talking about enjoying and like thinking that like old movies are great, people immediately get defensive and they hear like, oh, he thinks that old movies, the classic movies are better than modern movies. And that just simply isn't true. Like, I just think that like there are movies that are as good as The Dark Knight and Avengers Endgame that were made in the 30s. Like, I think that whatever time period you exist in, there have been like banger movies, universal bangers. And like it doesn't, the conversation of either or gets so boring to me. Where like, you can't watch 10 movies? Like you can have a top 10. It's fine. Not every movie that comes out has to be your favorite movie, and not every movie that comes out has to affect your favorite movie.
Correct.
Just like
I see a lot of movies.
Yeah, like whatever you like, man. My immediate assumption is to not put this in my top 10, and then I realize that my immediate assumption is to never put anything in my top 10.
Well, yeah, because then you have to move it around.
But it's not even that. It's like, I don't think I have a top 10. Like, I don't think those movies have been made yet.
Oh, I do.
There was a long time where I avoided using the 100 for the fact that I didn't think I had seen a perfect movie. And then I came around on it, right? We started kind of joking around and using it for silly things. And that truly, I think, impacted my enjoyment of movies in a positive way. But like my immediate instinct is like nothing that has come out in the last 10 years has moved my needle. But that's absolutely asinine. Like that's 100% not the case.
I think it's interesting. Let's take Avengers Endgame as an example. On one hand, it feels weird to me to say any movie newer than Avengers Endgame is my favorite movie. And Avengers Endgame is not my favorite movie, but that's kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it feels weird to say, like, anytime there's a movie that comes out, like say you saw Encanto and you're like, this is my favorite movie now. Like that feels weird to me. It's like, that's recency bias. It hasn't sort of passed that realm of limitations where it's allowed to be in this position.
Yeah.
But on
like,
the flip
why?
side of that, right, why? On the flip side of that, like, do I think I'm really going to go to my grave thinking Avengers Endgame is the best movie ever? Do I think I'm going to switch it to a movie before Avengers Endgame? Or after? Because if it's after, that means whatever I see has to go through that statute of limitations.
I'll tell you the thing. If we are... So we're living in a second renaissance right now, right? Like, just as a human species. Starting with the Industrial Revolution, we're living in a second renaissance where like the boom in technology and the boom in thinking has changed so much. In my humble opinion, the Da Vinci of movies has not made a movie yet.
Ooh.
Because like we were talking about this at work and we had a hard time quantifying what this era, when this era of movies began. And we put several different
1920.
milestones out there for like, you know, the takeover of CGI, or, you know, the invention of the blockbuster, or
You got like 40 years there, man.
not really. It's like 20 years.
77 to 2009?
77 to like 97.
You would say like
I would
Phantom Menace?
say that Phantom Menace at the absolute latest was the full changeover
I
to
would
CGI.
say I disagree. I think Avatar is your milestone there.
No, I don't agree with you at all. We can talk about this in the hash browns,
Avatar-
honestly, but
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
If you want to listen to the hash browns, you go to patreon.com/bacon and eggs. It's like $5 a month to listen to the hash browns, which is like an extra 30 minutes of bacon and eggs almost every week.
And you know, Tyler, I wanted to talk to you about this. I don't think we do a good enough job with the hash browns. I truly don't. I subscribe to several podcasts that do bonus shows, and I think we need to be more cognizant about telling you what we're going to talk about the hash browns and actually talking about something. And I want to do that going forward.
So you want to talk about Avatar or The Phantom Menace?
I want to talk about in the hash browns this week, I want to talk about where we stand on eras of movies.
Okay.
And how we are part of a second human renaissance right now. And how the Da Vinci of movies has not been born yet.
I think he's made 7 movies.
You think he's James Cameron?
No.
You think he's... Who's made...
You'll have to wait and listen.
Oh my God, I don't even know who you're talking about.
I'm Tyler Carlin. That's Eat the Ned Show. You can listen to other shows like this one. If you liked this show, you go to WBNE.org. There's a whole bunch of great shows over there. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Mary Clay Watt just literally started talking about the Silmarillion. You nerd listening to this?
There's a
Who's
podcast
like, oh, the
talking about the
Silmarillion.
Silmarillion. I think Silmaril by Silmaril.
Yeah, let me tell you, nerd.
Nerd.
Who's like the Silmarillion's hardly high fantasy. Shut up. I don't like talking to you, but Mary Clay will. Go listen to her show. Here's a preview.
Hello, my name is Mary Clay. If that's too complicated for you, just call me MC. And on That's What I'm Talking About, I'm experiencing the world of J.R.R. Tolkien for the very first time. Now that I've finished covering Lord of the Rings, I'm reading The Hobbit and realizing that it's a very different experience. It takes them like 70 pages to just leave the Shire.
Longer.
In Fellowship of the Ring.
It takes them like
forever.
I think it takes them like 100 pages to get out of the Shire.
I was just fuming. I was like, you mean to tell me that they leave the Shire in the span of one sentence, but it takes them 100 pages in Fellowship of the Ring? That's What I'm Talking About. New episodes every Tuesday wherever you get podcasts.
That was a great preview, Ethan.
Hi, I'm Mary Clay Watt, and I'm talking about the Silmarillion. You're making me lose my focus.
You're making me lose my
I talked to
focus.
Don Johnson from TikTok.
Yeet Isildur.
Don Marshall, famous band TikToker.
Don Marshall, that's him. Thank you for listening to this show, and until next time,
Arrivederci.
Arkham.